Doing outreach completely sucks. I hate it. You hate it. We all hate it. Most people doing outreach is literally being in the trenches. You spend all this time pitching, and what a lot of people do is they start doing mass outreach, sending hundreds of outreach messages. Maybe you get 2 replies and you go do 200 responses, and then you get the same result over and over. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. You're in the trenches. It's getting rough, and then you convince yourself that operating or whatever business model that you're doing is not the one for you. Everything that I'm showing you in this video is exactly every single thing that I do. Like, I'm going to be dumping all of my information on the way that I do outreach into this video. With all the outreach that I've ever done, operating and just in business in general, I closed probably about 60 to 70% of the leads that I've actually reached out to. I'm going to be going over this sort of outreach structure and the way that I like to deal with things, pretty much from reaching out to the client at first to actually closing the deal, kind of how I think about the prospects and how I barely do outreach. I don't do mass outreach at all, and I have such a high conversion rate. I've got some secret script where I'm just a great salesman or whatever. This information is what I wish I had when I first started out. Would have saved me a lot of time, but nevertheless, it got me out of the outreach trenches. The reason why mass outreach doesn't work, it's not because of the platform or anything that you're on. It's not the message. It's not the niche that you're picking, the people you're reaching out to. Is that the person who's sending it, you, are treating outreach like a numbers game when it's actually a research game. It was never about the numbers. When you send 100 generic messages or whatever, the same copy and paste script to other coaches, you're telling every single person on your lead list, or however you're compiling these people, you didn't look at their business before you reached out. And that's my biggest ick. Whenever people outreach to me or to my clients, I see it all the time. It's so unpersonalized. There's absolutely no personalization to it. Whoever you're reaching out to, they can feel that immediately. Even if the message sounds decent, the fact that it could have been sent to anyone means that it has no actual power. So there is nothing in it that makes them feel seen or understood. And having no trust built whatsoever when you're doing the initial outreach messages was going to lower your chances, I'd say by 80-90% to actually getting that person to respond in the first place. You have to understand the amount of people who are outreaching that way. It's the exact reason why coaches ignore their DMs and the exact reason why people get discouraged and stop sending outreach in the first place. So to define outreach in my terms, it's something that's so personal, so intimate that it feels like I did them a favor. The people I reach out to feel like I've spent real time on their business. I'm going to show you guys examples as well before I ever sent the first word, and that's because I did. Research is what turns cold outreach into something that actually lands and resonates with whoever you're reaching out to. The first shift you need to make is this. Stop thinking about how many people you can reach out to and start thinking about how precisely you can target the right ones, because 50 of the right people with the right diagnosis presented with the right conviction will outperform 5,000 generic messages every single time. I 100% guarantee you. So the way that I got taught when I first got mentored is, this is kind of my version. The Dream 50 is exactly what it sounds like. It's a list of 50 specific people where I can immediately see the gap in their business before I ever send them a message. And lately I've been using AI to actually go and do the whole diagnosis, so I don't have to, go through their landing page or funnel, all of the little stuff. I don't have to go through any of that. It frees up so much time. We have to go and start from the foundation, right? Pretty much the way I just start off with everything is I go to YouTube and I search how to blank XYZ, right? Whatever the niche is, trading, fitness, copywriting, real estate, whatever it is, I just start how to start AI agency. And I take a look at everything that pops up. I'm going to be looking for creators who are making educational content, who are already selling something. That's extremely important. They have to already be selling something, and they're showing signs that they have an audience who are paying attention. If you actually want a rev share to make sense, you're taking a percentage of everything that these people are making. You don't want somebody who has no views. It's common sense. Then I go to Instagram Explore and I do the exact same thing. I'm looking for people who are posting consistently in the last 30 days. That's usually my criteria. Somewhere between 10,000 and 100,000 followers, and ideally selling some sort of program, community, mentorship, or existing high ticket offer. It could be a low ticket mentorship. It could be a $30 a month community, whatever it is that they're offering. It could be a $10 product, whatever it is. As long as they're selling something or they look like they're trying to sell something to their audience, that's the most important thing. Now I go up to 100,000 followers. And now I say 100,000 followers because usually the people over that, they might have someone already working with them, or they don't check their DMs, or it's just harder to sign somebody who has more attention. From my personal experience as well, it's easier to sign people on who have under 100,000 followers. But the thing is though, is that the first person that I ever signed on had 220, 230,000 followers at the time. And it was exactly by doing what I'm showing you right now. So disqualify someone from the list immediately is if they have no offer at all. Like I mentioned before, they have no money in the business, or they have massive accounts with an established team doing everything that I do personally. So once I find 50 names, 50 prospects, whatever it is, I write one specific broken thing next to each name, something that that they could be doing that is making them more money or something that is causing them to lose a ton of money. So a specific thing, whether that's having no email list or no nurture sequence after I opt into whatever it is that they're selling, right? I'm not getting any follow-up emails, no follow-up after calls. That specificity is exactly what outreach is built from. So I'm going to actually show you what my outreach tracker looks like. It's been a minute since I've added any leads here, but pretty much I just have the person's name, the Instagram, their YouTube, and I kind of just say what exactly could be better. What is my diagnosis and what can I actually pitch? Now, I'm not super serious about these leads. Of course, I'm at 92 people. This is not a Dream 50 list anymore. The people who I do mark as high, these are people who actually need someone like me and you to come in on their offer, come in their business and actually structure things in a better way. For example, this guy, Denzel Wright, I'm just going to make this video right here, right? I can see he's a digital marketer. He teaches people how to sell ebooks or whatever, digital products online. And right off the rip, he's selling a $300 course on like Linktree, literally on Linktree, like no landing page, no video, no explainer video, nothing. He just has a $300 program on his Linktree straight to checkout. And I'm saying like, you've got all of these leads. You've got like 60, 80, I don't even know, 100,000 followers probably. It's been a while. So I got him on the list. And for example, someone like him, he's an ideal prospect and there's a lot of money to be made with him. But yeah, pretty much from there, I have, whether I send a DM hook, if they're engaged or not, if I sent a loom, if they booked an appointment. This is not my active lead list. I have a software that I put all my leads in that AI does for me. But this was it a few months ago. And so, I have this as well. It's just a simple template that I use so I could just track what exactly is going on with these people. What are we actually looking for? So before I ever send any message, I funnel hack them. I'm sorry, guys. I have to funnel hack you. If they have a funnel running, any sort of sales funnel, I opt into it. I screenshot everything. I take apart everything. I look at their landing page, their VSL, their application form. This is nothing crazy. I'm sure you guys have seen this stuff already. What happens after someone applies, whether they're confirmation emails that are being sent after I book a call or after I opt into their lead magnet, if they're giving something away or whatever it is, right? There's follow-up sequences and kind of like what the whole flow of everything looks like. That's extremely important. The more info and intel that you have on these people, the more you can construct a compelling reason why you're losing money or why you can be making more money. So every single thing that you can find that attributes to money being lost, you write that down, you mark that, whatever it is. You want to be able to build a really strong case. Something that really kind of worked for me was realizing that you don't have to just solely pitch the angle on where they can be making more money, because everybody's doing that, but kind of just showing them and really mapping out the reason why they're losing so much money. Those are two completely different emotional triggers. And losing money, realizing that whatever you've got going on right now, whoever you've hired in the past, or if you're doing everything yourself, if you're losing $25,000, $30,000 and I can obviously see it, and someone is showing me exactly what I'm doing wrong, the feeling of me, I've already lost $80,000 in the last 3-4 months. Like, this can't go on. Showing them what they could have been making, it just hits harder. It's basic psychology. In a sales call, all the time you hear people saying, okay, well, if you would have started this business model 8 months ago, where do you think you would have been now, right? You can be in a better position than you are currently, and it's all your fault that you're not. If I can go to someone and say, look, you have 40,000 followers, you're posting every single day, people are clearly interested in what it is that you do, people love you, right? But you have no follow-up sequences after someone books a call, which means at a show-up rate of even 50%, you're losing 10 to 15 book calls a month. For example, that's anywhere between $15,000 to $20,000 a month that's disappearing. And so by saying that, that's not even a pitch. I'm not even pitching them anything. I'm literally just showing them the actual issue, the actual diagnosis. So you can see when you hold that frame of there's an actual issue here, I'm reaching out, I'm showing you that you actually have a problem with your business. You could be making more money because all of this stuff isn't set up right. You're losing this amount of money. I haven't even told them I can make them more money. I'm just showing them that they're losing money. Most of the time, these people don't even realize that they're losing money. First of all, to pitch them where they can be making more, that's great and all, but showing them issues that they themselves are completely blinded by, like they don't know what's going on. When someone feels like you diagnose their business accurately before they even talk to you, that conversion that follows is completely different. You can see why I have such a high close rate now, right? They're not evaluating whether you're legit or not. If you're just trying to make $150 off of them, they already know you are. They know you know your stuff, right? It's just now you got to figure out if this is the right time to move. And seriously, now with my AI that's trained with all of my SOPs that I've documented, you don't even have to be a good marketer at heart. You don't even have to be sophisticated at whatever it is. This is just stuff that people genuinely don't want to spend time doing, but I'm telling you that it works. You're losing money if you're not actually spending quality time. Excuse the hair. I got back from the gym. I had to record this, so this is a priority. So the thing about the first message is it's not where the deal gets made. And if you have that mindset where, you expect people to respond or a call to get booked or for you to close a client just off of the first message that you send, you're going to be in trouble. Rather, it's where the conversation starts. So the one thing that I care about in a first message is that it does not sound like every other message they have already ignored. Nobody is going to reply to, hey, I help coaches scale their business. I would love to chat. I would love to pick your brain. That message has been sent to them 40 times this week. These people are getting pitched. They're getting pitched, okay? It goes straight to the ignore pile. What actually works is a pattern interrupt, something that's specific to them, something that shows you looked at their business, something that opens up a question without fully answering it. And I almost always keep it short because the first message is not supposed to close a deal. Remember, don't hold that frame or that mindset. It's supposed to just get a reply, where it's supposed to just kind of get your foot in the door with whatever it is. So for example, this guy, Sire Abraham, I'm not really interested in signing him right now. I generally reached out to him because I thought it would be a good connection. This is something that just came to mind in the first place. And it's maybe, it doesn't really go with exactly what I was saying. It's not maybe the most perfect example with what I was showing you on the Miro, but it's a good example of reaching out to someone and getting a response and building rapport, building a connection where in the future, for example, if I wanted to pitch him, I could. Messaged him a while ago. I was like, you ever be at Duo Coffee downtown Houston? I was in Houston at the time. I saw him from a TikTok. He was basically saying that I went to the mall. It was like a clothing haul. I don't know. It was whatever. But I saw that he was selling something. I saw that there was opportunity there. Even if it's not for now, even if it's not an opportunity that I can take advantage of now, sometime in the future, doors are going to open up. Now, I could have sent him a loom. I could have sent him yo, I know all of this crazy shit. You could be doing more with your business. And there are things that he could be doing to make more money, but I'm not really interested in it. I was like, you put me onto the theory jacket, by the way. But the reason why I asked him if he went to the coffee shop was because it was something familiar to the both of us. And usually if you can kind of find something that's similar between you and the prospect, even if not, even if you could just LARP it doesn't matter, bro. Even if you just LARP it, that's going to kind of help you sneak your way into a conversation. He responded. He was like, yo, I don't think so. I just, stay in the Post Oak area, whatever. And then just kind of chatting it up from there. I told him that the ads that he was running, there was an issue at the time. And, obviously I'm pretty sure he appreciated that. Saved him a bunch of money. But the main takeaway of this conversation is that I gained a mutual. He knows who I am. My Instagram tells people what it is that I do. And further down the line, I can always pitch him on something. But additionally, what I want to also say is with a strategy like that, building rapport, just kind of talking to these people casually, right? You drop free game. And this is extremely important. If you go in with the angle that, you're not really trying to pitch these people and that you're genuinely just, like I mentioned before, you're genuinely showing them that there's issues and, you went through their funnel and there's genuinely things that if you were to work with them, you'd be able to help improve and you think you'd be able to help them make more money, right? You just point these things out to them, send them a voice message or just send them something that shows that you know what it is that you're doing and you're just showing them and kind of guiding them and you're just providing them free value and you're not really asking for anything up front, which positions you differently. Free value is the move. I can't preach that enough. If you give away information that should be charged for, whatever it is, most people aren't willing to actually do that because they genuinely don't care. They don't give a fuck either. It works. I promise it does, and it's made me a lot of money. Now, adding on to what I was saying, the thing that matters more than the first message is the part that 99% of people doing outreach completely miss. The sale is in the follow-up. I don't know why you guys aren't following up with conviction. You guys don't follow up. I don't understand. What are you guys going to get discouraged with the first message? You can't be a loser. If you're convinced that you can make this person more money, if there's something wrong with this person's business and they're losing money, why are you not going to follow up? I mean, I can't say this loudly enough. There's nothing that made me more money than understanding this. The person who sends one message and waits is not going to get the deal. What are you waiting for? The person who sends one message and follows up consistently, they add value, they send relevant pieces of content, they share observations about something they posted, they check back in, that person is going to get the deal. It's inevitable. Even if their first initial message was terrible, these people's inboxes are flooded. Okay. Your first message might not even get seen. That's happened 90% of the time. These people just told me they didn't even see the message. It's not rejection. And even if it is, you can't let it get to you, right? It's just noise. Your job is to stay in their line of sight without being annoying about it and keep following up until you get a response either way. Perfect example. This was the first client that I ever signed. You can see right here, I reached out in June of last year. I remember there being a voice message. I don't know what happened to it. But I would be replying to each one of his stories with free value on how he should be positioning himself. I would be saying, yo, if you had a community where a high ticket mentorship, all of these people who are watching your story, a good percentage of them would convert into actual customers. And every single story I was responding to was just adding on to what I was saying. I was like, bro, you're missing out on the opportunity. You're losing so much money. I'm being so serious. You're losing out on so much money. And after a month of just me responding on these guys' stories, he says, let's see it. And that is when we go to the next step, which is sending them this loon. I closed that guy, by the way. So the evergreen loom is a weapon. It is a lethal weapon, and you need to treat it as that, okay? Once the conversation is open and they're engaging, I send the evergreen loom. This is something that every student that I've mentored in the past does immediately once they get into operating. My evergreen loom is a 7-minute presentation where I'm on screen. I have my face cam over slides, a set number of slides, walking them through who I am, what I've produced, what I actually do, and why working with me is different than everything else they've ever pitched. Why am I different? I could give a 3-hour masterclass on how to actually position yourself. They need to know why you are different. And so before I talk about what's in it, I want to talk about how it's delivered, because the content matters less than the conviction behind it. You can take the exact same 7-minute presentation, have 2 complete different people record it, with one person talking through the sides and the other person is looking directly at the camera. But the person who is looking at the camera, who is completely certain of every single word that they say, speaking like this is a once in a lifetime opportunity they are extending. They're going to get further. They're going to close the deal because they specifically see something in this business that nobody else is doing. It can be the exact same content, but the difference in conviction is what leads to a different result every single time. Conviction is so important. Like I was saying this whole entire video, you need to be certain with what it is that you're doing. Even if you're reaching out to somebody, you just want the setup fee. You don't even care about the rev share. Maybe realistically, you don't actually think that these people could make more money, right? But regardless, listen, I'm not promoting any of that. You want to be able to provide real value. But even if there's a chance of these people making money, having that conviction is a big part of what's going to get you that deal. Sometimes you can have more conviction and more confidence in someone else's offer than they themselves have in their own offer. And so if you're confident in something that maybe they're not confident in, it's going to motivate them. It's going to boost them. They want to work with you, right? So conviction is extremely important in business. So the way I open it up is by, I always have to set the frame. I say something like, just so you know, I don't do outreach anymore. I'm not one of these guys sending 100 DMs a day. But when I come across someone like you and I see something clear, a specific opportunity that I know exactly how to capitalize on, I reach out. And I saw that with yours. And so having that one sentence, that's what's going to change the dynamic of the entire conversation. Now, I'm not another person in their inbox asking for a chance. You never want to be in that vulnerable state. I'm someone who chose them specifically. And so from there, I go into who I am, what I've produced, results first. I don't go into a whole big resume, not my background and, how I started off in business or whatever. What I have actually generated on the offers that I've worked with in the past. And then I show examples of what we build: VSL funnels, email sequences, application pages, webinar build outs. I show inside all of our processes, and I present all of this with enough volume that they feel the weight of what we actually do. People say that, I include too much inside of my Loom video. The whole point of it is that it's supposed to be overwhelming. It's supposed to show you that there's a lot of processes that goes inside. There's a lot of things that you as the operator do for these people. And the fact that you make the video so heavy, it just shows them that you have a lot to offer, and that, there's a lot that and you can use that kind of to your competitive advantage. I have a complete SOP on this. It's like looking at a Lego manual on how you can actually craft your own evergreen Loom video that you can send out to people when you're doing outreach, even if you have no results. If you've never made anybody money before, that's completely fine. There's a way where you can position yourself as someone who's knowledgeable, as somebody who knows how to get these people results. I go over all of that inside my SOP. And so real quick, I don't know why I didn't explain it here. Evergreen Loom, the whole point of it, it's a video that's going to save you time. You send this video out to every single person that you outreach to, right? It's a 6-minute video. It's a complete thing. I show them that I know exactly what it is that I'm talking about. And you're completely different from all the other people who are in their inbox claiming that they're going to do whatever it is, right? And then with that, with every person that I'm reaching out to, I add a custom 15, 20-second intro. Sometimes if I really want to sign that person on, I add a custom intro. I'm like, hey, whatever your name is, I'm just re-recording this intro because it's been a while since I recorded this video. I'm basically just going over XYZ, blah, blah, blah. I generally think that you're going to be able to find a lot of value in this. Appreciate you for watching. Something like that. Just simple intro. And that's what I do on Loom. It's a screen recording app. So getting into the sales call and the deal now, this is the final step of the whole outreaching process. By the time we get on the call, they've seen the first message, they've seen the follow-up, and they've seen the evergreen Loom, right? And remember, the evergreen Loom is what positions you as someone different. This is your time to shine. If you structure it the way that I do, you're going to be successful. Now, the call that we have is not where I'm going to be convincing them that I'm legitimate. That work is already done. The call is where we're going to be figuring out if this makes sense. And if you're on call, it's going to make sense. But before I get on call, I do my research. I build a simple slide presentation that maps out what I see happening inside of their offer, their coaching business right now. And the first thing that I show them is not what we can build together. It's what they're losing right now about it. And this ties into what I was talking about. I'll tell them something like, based on what I see, you've got a lot of traffic coming in. For example, with my last client that I signed on, I showed him that with his organic following of 300,000 followers, how much you're currently making now with your low ticket funnel. And simply that if you had a high ticket program, even just a few deals a month, the massive price gap that there is. And I show them the math. I wish I had the video, but I didn't pay for the Fireflies plan or whatever it's called at the time, the recorder of the Google Meet. But I literally put up the presentation and I said, this is how much money you're making right now with your low ticket product. And then I put the price. This is how much money you could be making if 0.2% of your following turned into a high ticket buyer. What would that equal? Bam, 15,000, whatever number it was. It was a big number at that time. I just show them the gap. I literally just show them the gap, because when someone sees a specific number attached to a specific leak in their business, they're going to feel it. Then I just ask standard questions. I even have an SOP on this, exactly what I do in the sales call. What their revenue looks like now, how much money they're making, what they have tried in the past, what they think isn't working for them. Because the most important moment of any sales call is when you can reflect their problem back to them better than they have explained it. When they stop mid-sentence and go, yeah, exactly, that's exactly what it is, you have already won the call, you've closed the deal, right? So holding on to that frame of being someone who understands their business better than them, they know that if they were to partner with you, they'd be in good hands. Then I go into the plan, then I go into the deal. The structure I propose is very straightforward. I always charge an upfront fee for my clients and a revenue share of the money that we make them. Sometimes I do a monthly base retainer if I just think that maybe I won't be getting any rev share wires anytime soon, or if it just doesn't make sense in the moment. So that's the way I frame the setup fee. And so before we can even talk about a rev share, I have to come in, I have to understand the business, fix the funnel, tighten the messaging, look at the sales process, do all these things. Right now, like I said, AI does all of it for me. Shout out to the backends, SOPs. And that's exactly why there's an upfront fee. It's to cover the setup. And the rev share, of course, covers the upside. And so it just depends as well on what exactly we were pitching them in the first place and what we're going to build out. If they've got high ticket offers already and you're like, okay, now what? What am I going to pitch them? See if they're running a webinar. Pitch them a webinar build out. There's always something that you can do for these people. Me personally, my minimum setup fee is $2,000 upfront, and then anywhere from 15 to 25% rev share. Any bigger builds, anything that I think would take more time, messier funnels, whatever it is, it just takes more energy. I just charge a higher setup fee. But my sweet spot, I'd say, is around $4,500. Now, covering this as well, this is a really in-depth video, but someone who tries to skip the upfront setup fee, I've dealt with this in the past, and they just go kind of straight into rev share. The way I handle this is very simple. Pure revenue share only makes sense when something is already working. If they have money coming in, okay, sure. But if I'm coming in to build something from nothing, then there has to be an upfront fee, because I'm not just going to be getting paid for results. I'm getting paid for the work that's required to make those results possible. Now, if it's your first client, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You can 100% make money without doing a setup fee. But I just prefer an upfront investment. It just gets both people financially committed. Another thing is, during the call, if they ever say something like, let me think about it, and they genuinely mean it, my advice is to just let them go. Because if someone is going to push back on a $2,000 setup fee, they can't even work out a payment plan, $500 upfront now, whatever, blah, 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 for a deal that could pay them back 10 times over. That tells me something about the kind of partner they're going to be, because the right client is going to be excited about this. They're not going to be worried about $2,000. So that's my system. You find the right person, you spot the gap, you start the conversation the right way, you follow up, you show them what's missing, you close the deal, and then you get everything started. Because getting the client is cool, getting paid a nice setup fee, that's nice. But making more money for your client, which makes you more money, is what actually matters. That is what the back end is actually about. So if you want all of my personal SOPs, the outreach process, the sales framework, my systems, everything that I use to help these coaches and creators grow, that is exactly what the back end is for. It is the full process from actually finding the clients to scaling them to 10, 20, 50, $100,000 a month. So if that sounds like the type of business that you want to build, the link's in the description. Anyways, thank you for watching. I love you guys. See you later.